different. So that's the approach that I take with my dieting. So who hasn't been here before? Anybody's first time at Branford CrossFit? So you guys are members, but how you like the gym?
It's more intimidating than Madison.
It's pretty big. It's like Madison.
Even the bikes are bigger.
Yeah, these bikes are bigger. I think Madison's maybe like this little section back here. So yeah, welcome. Thank y'all for coming. Obviously, you know, for those of you who could make it, thank you, and you know the value of some free information about some nutrition. So that's awesome. So yeah, like I said, you know, we're gonna be, or the approach that I like to take is an individualized approach because everybody is different. So I'm gonna start with sort of defining what some of the pitfalls of a bad nutrition plan is, and I'm going to explain what my approach is from you know, your everyday athlete all the way up to your CrossFit Games athlete. I've accumulated this data over the last 5 or 6 years working with 500 plus athletes, majority of them CrossFit athletes, but there is a broad spectrum. So I'd like to start off by first someone defining what the #1 cause of death in Western society is today in the United States. Heart disease, right? Still in school, so. Yeah, so the #1 is heart disease. So this can be stroke, heart attack. Normally it's, you know, from, you know, a bad diet. I mean, this is basically what this is from. It's not this silent killer, right? This is something that we know about, we know it happens, and we know it so much that we were able not only to define that it's the #1 cause of death in the United States, but that it's 25% of the deaths in the United States. All right. All right, Smarty Pants, what's the 191st cause of death in the United States? Nobody? Spiders. All right, so the 191st cause of death in the United States is spiders. All right. See, like, what is this guy talking about? Spiders. We are more afraid of spiders than we are of McDonald's, right? My wife sees a spider. Where is she? And it's like she's looking at a ghost. Like she freezes and she runs away like she's gonna die. Probably, I would say, more people that have died from spiders maybe had a heart attack because they've seen a spider, rather than the spider that's poisonous actually bit them and caused them to die, right? So where do we bridge the gap here? How do we get people to be as afraid of heart disease as they are about spiders, right? It's talks like this, right? Educating people on nutrition, okay? So I'm gonna put up a little pyramid here. I'll put up this pyramid every time. And it makes a lot of sense, right? So this is the CrossFit pyramid defined by Greg Glassman. I like to call him Gregorius, but we'll call him Greg for today. He defined this pyramid, and it was actually quite elegant at the time, and it's a model that we use to define everything that we do in here. And this is why almost millions of affiliates have come on the rise in the last 10 years, right? So to start defining this pyramid, the second from the bottom is metabolic conditioning, right? You have an individualized approach to this. Craig Kinney, AJ Alessi, they put this out for you at Madison and Branford CrossFit through the Nation Plan, right? So you're doing this. Nice. All right. Then it's gymnastics. It's included in your nation plan. Check. Weightlifting included in your nation plan, right? And then there's sport-specific training. And we watch Craig Kinney do that. We don't do a lot of that. Tomo does a little bit of that. But that is really training almost to the point to where it's unhealthy. You are in a position where your goal is not health. Your goal is to be a great CrossFit athlete, right? That's why Craig has these injuries that come up and things like that. He is the wave of going past health towards somebody that is just more fit, right? So there's a difference between that. Anybody have any idea what's at the bottom? Nutrition, that's right. And a lot of people are doing that. Or they're not informed about it, right? They don't know about it. They see something online, they try it, like CLA or like, I don't know, maybe they put some Tabasco in their coffee. They're like, oh yeah, it's gonna work, right? Let's put Tabasco in my coffee. Yeah, it's burning up, all right? So the goal is to get informed about this stuff, right? Because this is the #1 cause of death in the United States, right? So Greg Glassman defined nutrition. Gregorius here, he defined nutrition as paleo, right? And the paleo diet, essentially we can define as lean meat, veggies, and fruits, nuts and seeds, little starch, no sugar. And he has applied this approach to everyone in the world. Not just CrossFit athletes, but CrossFit Health is the movement of everyone in the world, paleo. Congratulations, you've just been put in an arranged marriage, right? This approach is great for some people, right? An arranged marriage is good for some people. Sometimes it works out, right? It works out all right for some people. They're put into a marriage they don't want to be in, or maybe they kind of do, and it works out. But for most people, probably not, right? I mean, they're in an arranged marriage, but, you know, it's not the same type of relationship that you would have with somebody that you decided that you wanted to be with, right? So that is the gap between working with a coach that understands what your body needs to improve on your goals, right? So that's why this approach is not the best approach or the most ideal approach for most people, all right? Another issue with this is it's just not, it's a reductionist approach, right? It doesn't tell us enough. It just tells us what foods we can have. It doesn't tell us when. It doesn't tell us how much. You know, what do you eat? 1 piece of broccoli or 5,000 pieces? It doesn't say, right? And it's obviously a great starting point for a lot of people, but we're here today because we know we can do better than that, right? So out of this pyramid, I sort of formed my own pyramid here, all right? So stay with me. So the bottom part of the pyramid is calories, right? Everybody's familiar with calories. They're on the back of every single label, right? They are essentially a unit of energy, 4.1 joules or something like that. And you can convert it to a light bulb and figure how much energy you're burning to do a light bulb. Whatever you want to do, but that is what a calorie is. It's a unit of energy, okay? The next is macros, right? So this is protein, this is carbs, this is fat. right? So depending on the person, depending on body weight, height, age, sex, you're going to have a different amount of calories and goals. Somebody that wants to lose weight, right? So if the goal is to lose weight, so body weight down, your calories need to be down. This is the first law of thermodynamics, right? Energy in, energy out. You need to release more energy than you're taking in. This is where the calorie comes in, right? And then protein, carbs, and fat, this also has it sort of has a play into how many calories you actually are taking in and then how they're distributed, right? The third is food composition. So this is what we're eating. So this is sort of defined in the paleo, right? But what if you have a sensitivity to almonds? What if every time you eat almonds, you got to go to the bathroom? Thanks a lot, Greg Glassman. I hope he's watching this. That'd be awesome. So it varies person to person, right? It's very dependent on the person. Same thing with lactose and milk and all these other things. Do we incorporate them? I don't know. You have to know what your body can handle. You have to track data and figure this out over time. Or you have to get with someone who does know and defer to someone who does, right? So that's about food composition. The two top things on the pyramid, one is nutrient timing. So when do we eat? Can we eat at midnight? Can we go on a binger and then go to Taco Bell? Or should we eat our Taco Bell in the morning? Should we not eat Taco Bell at all? Should we eat a lot after we work out? What do we do? Do we skip breakfast and fast and come to the gym and work out? What do we do? It's not an easy answer, right? There's so many different approaches out there, and for a good reason, because every single person is different. And then the top part is supplementation. So if we cannot, the name supplementation. So to supplement, right? To add in if not affected by these four. For example, if you still have a vitamin C deficiency, which a lot of people do, then you need to look into a supplement to reinforce that, be able to increase your vitamin C levels. For example, if your blood work were to come back that you are low in vitamin C, in fact. So that is a more individualized pyramid for nutrition than this. Does that make sense? All right, awesome. So we talked a little bit about the calorie. I want to go into a little about the macros because with the 8-week challenge, nutrition challenge, we're going to be giving macronutrients to everyone based on their physical appearance as well as their goals, body weight, height, age, as individualized as we can make it, right? So it's good to be able to define these and what they mean, right? So we'll abbreviate P for protein. So protein is literally what our muscles are made up of. They're made up of protein. All right, so very important, right? So they're what our muscles are made up of, okay? Our carbs are essentially useful to us for replenishing glycogen. All right, so I'll put glycogen up here. This is essentially a macromolecule that accumulates in our muscles after we eat carbohydrates. And after they accumulate in our muscles and we work out, they're not there anymore. That is our main source of energy in workouts, is glycogen, which is from carbohydrates. All right, and then fat, okay? This is important for a lot of different reasons. Inflammation, hormonal balance, especially for women that are breastfeeding it can be extremely important. So it's still a very important macronutrient. But in terms of nutritional approach in combination with your workouts and things like that, fat is essentially going to be a calorie buffer. It is the most calories per gram. So 9 calories per gram of fat versus 4 calories per gram for protein and carbohydrates. So it's easy, right, to cut fat when people want to lose weight. If you cut their fat, it's the most calories per gram. You're going to take in less calories. All right, so that's sort of the approach with fat. We sort of went over food composition a little bit. It is really specific to the person because every single person has different sensitivities, right? Everybody's gut microbiome is different. Everybody's lacking a specific digestive enzyme. Some people process food slower than other people. All these are factors in determining, what foods we can have and what foods we metabolize, okay? And this takes some time to learn, and you have to be diligent about, okay, I just ate what, and I feel like what, right? So that's what I'll say about food composition. Typically, I start out with a general list that's more extensive than the paleo diet for most of my athletes, and then we will shift to adding in more foods or taking out foods as we learn more and more as we go along throughout the diet, okay? And nutrient timing, so since glycogen is depleted right after the workout, we probably want to take in carbs right after our workout, right? So we'll say after workout. Okay? Protein in our muscles are being broken down and building up pretty much all day long. So we'll say that can just be constant. So protein with each meal, a decent amount of protein with each meal, and fat, it digests and absorbs very slowly. So we likely want to have it away from the workout window because we don't want to go into the workout where we haven't digested and absorbed food yet. So you likely don't want to eat a lot of fat before you go into a workout. So we'll say away from workout. Make sense? Depending on people's goals, you're going to have different amounts of these foods, right? So a rough sort of estimation I'll give everybody, just for the sake of learning about what these macros are, is you want about 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight for protein. For carbs, depending on your activity level, which is how much you're working out, you're going to take in anywhere from 1.2 to 3.0 grams per pound of body weight. And by 3, that's somebody that's working out 3 times a day, like Craig, for example, right? And then fat, we already kind of talked about. It's really specific to your goals and whether you want to gain or lose weight. It's kind of used as a calorie buffer. All right, everybody with me so far? That makes sense. Anybody have any questions? Because now I'd like to go into what the different nutrition challenge packages are so that we can determine what's going to be the best approach for everybody that's here today. Make sense? All right. Hey, do you have something I can wipe this down with? I think Tomo brought something over, but.
There's a towel on the.
I got a towel here. This looks like a nice towel, though.
Can you flip it over?
It's dry erase. No, the board is. It won't stain it.
I didn't trust you there, but. I guess I always see black smudge on stuff. That's just dirt from the board. That's not from actual. So I assume it did. I didn't know that. Learn something new every day. All right, so the nutrition challenge, so there's an 8-week challenge. And with that, let's draw our pyramid again. So the bottom was calories, macros, food composition, timing, supplements. All right, so you're going to get, with the 8-week nutrition challenge, calories, macros, food composition. You're not going to get timing or supplementation. You're also going to get social media. Yes, it's that important. If you can't find me in my house, you can find me on social media. So you're going to get the Facebook page, which is going to give access to recipes. It's going to give access to for people sharing PRs, successes, women in menopause. I'm going to be giving tips about that, pregnancy, recovery, inflammation, sleep, hydration, you name it. I'll be posting on there pretty much every day about something that I think can benefit you, whether it's related to dieting or maybe not. But we're going to set detailed objectives every week for people to make sure that they're hitting those objectives. All right. To be able to determine what your calories, macros, and food composition are, I'm going to send everyone out a questionnaire that you'll have to fill out and return back to me. Okay? It'll ask you about your goals. It'll ask you what your body weight is and a lot of other metrics that I'll need to try to individualize the diet as much as possible. Cool? All right. And this option is $50 for the 8 weeks. So this is something that we put on the Instagram page. So get the details of and a summary of this there if you need to refer back. And please feel free to ask questions to any of the coaches or myself about, if you think this is the right package for you.
It's also email.
Yeah. So the other thing that is included, AJ just kind of reminded us, there is, you will be tracking, we're going to give each athlete a number, okay? You're not numbers, I know that, but some people are not going to be okay with putting their weight in a shared Google Sheets doc, okay? So every athlete will have a number, and in the Google Sheets doc, you will update 3 things. You will update your weight each week throughout the 8 weeks. You're going to update the number of workouts you did per week. And you're also going to update the average number of hours you slept that week. Okay, so every Monday you would put these metrics into. This is a way of keeping people accountable, and I will be on you on a Facebook page about getting these metrics into the Google Sheets doc that I will share with everyone.
Is it just CrossFit workouts, or if you run also?
You can also include running and stuff as part of your workouts, absolutely. Walking the dog, maybe not, but yeah, if you go out for a run, that definitely includes a workout. So sleep. So this is everything that's going to be included with the 8-week nutrition challenge.
Do you want average of sleep per night or per week?
Per night. So it'll be per week, because if you take, like, let's say you 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, and you divide by 7, you'll get your average number of hours per week, right? And I'll be posting tips about how we can do better with our sleep on the Facebook page as well, because I know a lot of people struggle with that. And there are a lot of tips that I've used, and my wife Rebecca has used, because she goes to bed thinking about what she needs to do next week. So like, we found ways to lower stress levels, whether it's breathing, whether it's putting the phone blue light away for 2 hours before bed, and a lot of other things like that. And it's great. Yeah, I can go to sleep, she can go to sleep, it's great. So the individualized coaching option, and we have some people in here. So I know I've worked with Diane before, I've worked with AJ before in an individualized coaching option, so they can provide testimonies for me on this. This is kind of the holy grail of determining what it is your body's going to need, and whether, and where it fits into your goals. So I would say that a lot of people that I work with that do this, they typically don't sign up with me again. And it's because they intrinsically know how to eat after they've worked with me for these 6 months. So that's the real difference between these two diets, right? You're tracking sort of all these macros and everything yourself, and you're trying to, in an app, MyFitnessPal, and stuff like that, where with the individual diet, and individual coaching, I'll say, you get everything here. I'll analyze your blood work and incorporate that to your diet plan so that makes it more individualized, or any other dieting data that you may have accumulated over the past couple of years. Obviously, the questionnaire for this is a lot more extensive. I ask you how many kids you have, who does the cooking. Like, I want to know everything about you. We're best friends if you sign up for this, right? So it also includes templates. These templates really are what make the diet so intrinsic after the 6 months are up. They pretty much tell you exactly what to eat and when to eat it. That's the difference between that, another big difference between that and this. So what, when, how much? Every meal. Because I know when you're going to sleep, I know when you're waking up, I know when you're working out, I know what days you're not working out. So there are different templates for different days, and I know exactly where you're at, basically, at all times, without having a tracker on you. So that's the beauty of the templates, right? You're gonna have your weekly check-ins here as well, so you get everything that you get in individual coaching here as well. But you'll also be sending me updated pictures to track body composition, okay? So this will include more accountability, let's just say. And it lasts 6 months, not 8 weeks. So it's a little bit longer of a duration, but that's the time that most athletes and dieters need to really get a true hone on what dieting plan they should be following, and for me to understand your physiology and who you are, right? And that is $350 for the 6 months. Everybody good? Make sense? All right. I'll mention one last thing, unless AJ has to say anything. We have recently formed a partnership with a company that's affiliated with 23andMe and Ancestry DNA. So I don't know if anybody has that data with them. It tells you like what part of Europe you're from and stuff. Basically it tells you where your ancestors are. So this company called GenoPalette that we've formed a partnership with, they take the data from 23andMe, or you can get your own data. They'll send you a tube that you can spit in so they can get your DNA, and then they essentially tell you what the DNA of your stomach is. So like they do DNA sequencing on your DNA, and they figure out what genes you have that predispose you to learn your gut microbiome. So like there are some genes that come back and tell you that you should be on a low carb diet because that's how your ancestors ate, or you should be on a high protein diet because that's how your ancestors ate. It also will indicate how you metabolize caffeine versus how you metabolize alcohol, and whether you have sensitivities to gluten or to lactose. So all of that obviously makes the diet even more individualized for me, because then I can start really incorporating different amounts of foods based off of what I feel you need, right? Because everything we put into our body that we don't metabolize is harmful. If it's not metabolized, then it's not good for you, right? So that gives a little bit of an indication about what foods you're tolerant to versus not, It also will give metrics on deficiencies in different vitamins. And it gives food suggestions based off of those deficiencies. So it'll tell you you're likely deficient in these fruits because your ancestors ate a certain way based off of your DNA and you encode this gene. You need to eat more pineapples, oranges, blah, blah, blah. All right, so now I can be even more individualized. This is sort of the turn of, I think, nutrition, and I think it's going to be the next wave that people are seeing. Not only that diets are individualized, I think that that's been something that has been occurring the last 5 to 10 years, but I think understanding your DNA through DNA sequencing and making a diet that fits right just for you is going to be something that's going to be huge over the next 10 years or so. And the other thing is there's a lot of evidence out there suggested by scientists that if you just eat the foods that your body metabolizes and processes, then you don't even need to cut calories. You'll just lose weight because your metabolism's higher because you're metabolizing everything you put into your body. And your metabolism is going to go up. And if you just eat what your body tells you to eat, you'll see a lot of benefits from it. From a health perspective, you'll get at a healthier body weight, so on and so forth. That makes sense? That data with the 23andMe data or the Ancestry DNA data already downloaded. So if you have those metrics somewhere on your computer, or you got them as a gift or whatever, where you spin a tube, sent it in, and they gave you your breakdown of your ancestors, it's $100 to do the genopalette data to figure out what your genes and your gut microbiome are. If you don't have the 23andMe or Ancestry data, it's $200. So that's the difference. So please let me know if you want to do that. We formed a partnership with them last week. We just released that we formed a partnership with them last week, and I've already ordered 5 kits. So just to let you guys know, if you do want to do that, I think it's definitely worth it. Does anybody have any questions for me? I'm willing to talk to people after too, individually, if they want to talk more about these packages or just about nutrition in general. So please let me know. I definitely don't want this last part of the talk about the prices and everything like that to come off that I'm here just to make a quick buck. I've been doing this with AJ and Craig a long time and a lot of other athletes, and I continue to do it because I thoroughly enjoy helping people in this sense. And I think if we can get back to that, where we start, even if we start to become more curious about metabolic disease and what it is and what it's caused by and how we can be preventative, then I would give a talk like this every week if I could get through to one person. So